And that's one thing I regret, because I never thought I would be here as long as I've been here. Hey everyone, my name is Expat. Welcome back to my channel. It's been a really crazy, hectic, but fun year. I just wanted to make this video today because I've been living abroad now basically since 2014. I've been living as an expat or immigrant, depending on who you want to ask, what you want to say. But I just feel like there are really good things about this life, and there are some things that just suck. And I just want to talk about it today. I feel like there's a lot of emphasis in the past maybe 5 or 7 years on traveling and, you know, dropping everything and going. There's a lot of romanticism around traveling, and not just traveling, but also living abroad. I just feel like there's some little nitty-gritty things that you just don't know until you're here in this position, experiencing it yourself. I can say that as an American, you can get real comfortable in America and nobody will tell you otherwise. I never really saw myself as someone who was gonna live abroad and just be abroad and have that life abroad, even though my major in school was literally international studies. And my parents are from Cameroon, so they themselves they're immigrants too. My family's always been a family that has known the world is not just contained to where you are and where you grew up and what you think you know. I don't know who I was fooling, because I've always loved learning about other cultures. I've always loved being different, like going on a different path. And so, like, I don't know why I thought I was just gonna work for this global corporation and that was just gonna be enough for my international experience. Not the case. Now that I've been abroad, some really good things that I've learned are that America, or wherever your home might be, is not the end all be all. But particularly America, because America has such a huge impact and certain controls over many aspects of the world and on other cultures and on other peoples. And you really gotta get out of this American bubble to see people are thriving out here. People are living their best lives. And it's not even like the, oh, I'm just laying out on the beach with my laptop and a margarita. I'm really setting up my life here. I'm learning the language. I'm finding my communities. I feel secure. I'm enjoying myself. I enjoy my job. I'm making ends meet, starting businesses, discovering new passions, and that's also happened to me. And it was a motivator for why I came to Korea, because I really didn't know anyone who had been to Korea. And I was just tired after college. You know, there's just this pressure to like go on a particular path. You go to college, you get your degree, then you get a job, and then you work. Don't ask anybody how they trying to pay these loans or mortgages, because ain't nobody gonna tell you. Eventually you retire and then you die. When things get really hard out here, I just keep thinking about, well, this is pretty much the life I asked for. At the same time, being an expat, you're the other in another country. In some ways it's embraced, in other ways it feels kind of familiar, like being back home. And those are some realities that you gotta face. And I know in America, as a Black person, you know, we are also the other in many, many ways, but America is ours. Like, we are American. A lot of American culture is Black culture. There's still so much familiarity there, and it's your home. Your home is always your home. And that's something else I've realized since being out here, is that as much as I love enjoying other cultures, as much as American politics and customs and certain things about America can be embarrassing abroad, like having to explain Donald Trump and having to explain racism and white supremacy and having to explain American policies that have affected like literally every place I've ever been to. Like everywhere I traveled, America has a hand in it somehow, and you know, it's not always with good effects. Despite all that, America's still home, and I didn't realize how much more American I would feel abroad. And it's really interesting, because when I'm in America, because I was raised in an African household, I guess I'm like a third culture kid, which if you don't know what that is, it's someone who's raised between two cultures. So a lot of army brats, a lot of military kids are third culture kids, because you're American, but maybe you grew up in India and you yourself are not really Indian. You're American, but then you didn't grow up there. So you're in between two cultures, basically. So in America, I feel more African a lot of times than I feel Black American, you know? Even though I am a Black American. But because I am just one generation removed from Africa, when I'm back in America, there's some things I just don't understand. Like when I got married to my husband, I learned, he was just so shy. He was like, why don't you know these things? Like there's some aspects of Black American culture, like the Black church and some Black music and just like Blackisms that like I just am not as familiar with or didn't experience. Now that I'm abroad, I really enjoy teaching people about my African heritage, about my American heritage, and about my Black American heritage. You just really grow a sense of pride about where you came from and what you represent, especially in Asia where they don't see Black people every day, and that's why they gawk and stare at you. But another video for another day. I talked about being Black in Korea before. You can look at that video. So yeah, being an expat, you learn to really appreciate and understand your identity in a national way and just in a personal way. I do consider myself an introvert, but I'm not like a recluse, you know? I like people. I like people. And being abroad has really shown me that I like people. I have to put myself out there a little more, and it is scary, but it's really rewarding because I've made so many friends that I know I never would have made back home. Like I never would have taught these people back home. I just know it. Usually it's really easy to find your expat community in whatever country you're in, especially now thanks to social media. I've learned to share myself, my heritage, my personality, my character, my passions. Like just in this past year, I've been able to do things that I never had done back home or never thought I could have done back home. These are things that I just felt I couldn't do back home just because sometimes when you're in a familiar place, you just revert to your familiar ways. There's just a lot of fear around doing new things and living abroad. People are living abroad and they're fine. Yeah, you need to take precautions, but it's really just common sense. If no one is eating from this food stand, don't go to that food stand because their food is whack and probably gonna make you sick. And if something looks funny or smells funny, don't eat it. If there are areas that look sketchy, don't go there. People are doing this all around the world every day, and Korea is super, 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 super safe. It's the safest place I've ever been in my life. This place is great. Actually living here, I have my visa and I got my job and I got my apartment with my lease and rental agreement. Like I live here now. You're just adulting in a different location. I would say like if you really want to lay roots in a new country, you definitely have to connect with locals in some way. And a lot of times you got to learn the language to do that. Navigating new languages is always a challenge, but there are just so many sources, starting with Google Translate, where I feel like language isn't as much of a barrier. And I just feel like you have to know what you're getting into with the language thing, okay? I'm not about to move to China anytime soon because Mandarin makes my eyes tear up. I really wish I could just sit down and learn so many languages. But with my time, that's another thing. As an expat, your time, you gotta figure out what you want to do with your time. And with my time, after I go to work and, you know, make my living, I want to spend time exploring the city or be out with my friends or pursue my artistic endeavors and things like that. So, and that's one thing I regret because I never thought I would be here as long as I've been here. And I wish I had invested more time in learning Korean. With the language thing, you know, don't go to a country and feel stressed out because you don't know the language. Like, you're gonna be stressed out because you don't know the language, sis. Like, I still feel like that in Korea every day. And I can read Hangul, don't know every meaning. I can at least read the alphabet. Okay, let's try and pick up where we left off because Sony cameras like to cut off whenever they feel like. You also start to learn people are really just people all around the world. There are great people who are really helpful. You got your jerks. People are just people around the world, but you got to connect with them. And you need to do that for your own well-being. And you have to find your people. You have to find your tribe abroad. Sometimes it's not easy. I went a long time in Korea feeling really lonely. If you've been married, then you know you can still feel lonely in a relationship. Or not even if you're married, just if you have a boyfriend or girlfriend, you have a best friend or whatever kind of close relationship you have, you can still feel lonely because one person can't provide everything for you. So I had that time back when I lived in rural Korea and it was super isolated. Then you're thousands of miles away from home, and video chat is great. It's really wonderful, but it just doesn't make up for going out with your girls on a Friday or on a birthday or spending time with your family on your parents' anniversary. seeing the new baby and your new cousin or your new nephew or whatever the case, it can get so lonely. To be honest, those times are just hard. You're just gonna have to kind of let yourself be lonely for a minute and understand that this comes with the life you chose to live abroad. You know, even going deeper into that, you can get depressed being abroad because you're away from family. You're in a new culture that it might take you forever to understand, or you might not ever really understand it. You might not make friends as quickly as you would like. I have my husband here with me, so most of the time I'm really glad he's my road dog. Sometimes he's the one driving me crazy, but most of the time I'm glad I'm not out here alone in like a country like Korea where mental health is still developing and how they help people. It can be difficult to cope. So that's something else that comes with being an expat and living abroad. If you are thinking about living a life abroad, do your research on maybe your top 3 countries that you want to stay in. Find out how easy it is to assimilate into those cultures. Even if you're someone who likes a more adventurous kind of a life, trust me, like the assimilation, even in countries where it seems like your culture is similar, like America and Canada or America and UK, there are going to be differences and they are going to affect you and they're going to throw you off. Don't go to a place where you feel like you'll be contained, or you feel like you'll be ridiculed, or you feel like your opportunities will be constricted, or your chances to what's the word I'm looking for? Don't go to a place where you feel like you won't be able to associate with the local culture. For me, that's a huge part of living abroad, being away from America and typical Americans. When you're an expat, you're not just interacting with the local culture, you're interacting with other expats, and they can be from so many places around the world too. So there's just so much real life education happening, and it's pretty awesome. But it's something you need to think about. You need to think about what you want to get out of this. Me, I knew that I wanted to do something that no one else I knew had ever really done. I wanted to make and save money. I wanted to see as much of the world as I could, and I wanted to be immersed in this new culture and just like see a different way of living and a different view of life. And finally, I just wanted to be unrestricted, to be myself. But sometimes you don't know your end goal, and it can just kind of go on and on and on and on and on, and you end up spending the rest of your life in another country as an expat. The thing is, even people with a plan, plans change. You know, God is funny. Like, you make plans and he laughs in your face in the most loving and respectful way possible. Being an expat, it has its good points and it has its bad points. And as far as the good points, it's been really fun. It's been really fun. I just feel like I'm really gonna look back on this time in my life and be like, okay, sis, you did that. You did something a lot of people don't and can't and will never be able to do. You completely uprooted and you lived abroad and you went to this country where you didn't know anything about the language and very little about the culture, and you made it. I'm not really sure what's gonna happen when I go home. Every time I've been abroad and come back home, I have experienced reverse culture shock, but it hasn't really been super extreme. And I just wonder, how's it gonna be when I go home for good? I don't know if I can go home for good. I feel like there's always gonna be a part of me that is gonna be itching to be abroad and to just be immersed in a new culture. I feel like Korea has been a really good place for me, and I don't know where I might go next, but I'm looking forward to going home and repatriating. So yeah, being an expat is great, and sometimes it is really challenging. I can't say I recommend it to everyone because, you know, living abroad isn't for everyone, and that's okay too. People, you know, I don't believe in shaming people for not having an urge to travel or to, you know, leave their country. Some people enjoy where they are and love what they have, and that's fine. That is fine. You know, both sides are good. Both sides have their positives and negatives. Overall, I would do it again. I really love my life for the past 4 years, and yeah, it's been awesome. I don't know, it's just cool. Live the life you want to live, people. Ain't nobody stopping you but yourself. Just do your research. Okay guys, I feel like I rambled this whole video. I don't know how I'm gonna edit this to make it coherent or make it make sense, but I'm done. For more videos about my life in Korea, please subscribe, and you can follow me on Instagram at SoThisIsFaye, fashion, art, travel, education. And as always, like, hit me up. Let me know if you're coming to Korea sometime. I'll buy you a tea. Don't do soju anymore. Don't ask. Yeah, but if you have any questions, you can always hit me up in the comments or on my Instagram, on my website, so thisisfate.com. So as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.